other apologies for absence, please?
I've had a message from Jason to say he's trying to connect, but not successful so far, Chair.
Lives too far up the hill.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillors, any declarations of interest of anything on tonight's agenda? No? Thank you very much. Item number 3, minutes of the Town Council meeting of the 13th of July, the virtual meeting of 13th of July 2020 for approval. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Cockett, seconder, please. All those in favour?
I'll second that.
You're too late, Jim. Councillor Logan got there before you, but thank you anyway. And I'll take it that's moved, unless anybody disapproves of that. And for information, the 2 planning committee meetings of the 14th and the 21st of July. Clerk, please. Item number 4, the finance report.
Yes, Chair. I will, as usual, just highlight the main points for the record and for anyone who is watching the meeting. The balance on the Town Council's account at the end 31st of July, which is our reporting date for this meeting, 368,416. Both accounts have been reconciled to that date as usual. Payments during the month of July total 26,398, with 2,798 being attributable to Salisbury Gardens. The full list of payments is, of course, in the month is available to members for information and comment. Receipts during July, 15,406, with 6,700 of that coming from Salisbury Gardens rent for the month. I've just commented here that the receipts for the month included £5,392, which was the VAT reclaimed for the first quarter of this financial year. As usual, the year-to-date variances are also attached for members' information, showing payments in the 4 months at 14,590 under budget and receipts 1,354 less than budget. Thank you, Chair. That's the report for this month.
Thank you, Clerk. Any questions of the Clerk, members?
Yes, I would like to ask the Clerk about the big underspend on the youth service. Is there any plans to get that going again, or will we be faced with a permanent underspend on that?
I thought I'd made it available to members before, but if I hadn't, I apologise. The reason for the underspend is basically because we don't have a youth worker at present since the resignation of the previous post holder, and interviews are being held on the 19th. Alison, is that right? Yes. With a proposed start date of September the 7th. So that underspend will not grow, and is partly due to the fact that because there's no youth worker, some of the grant money that's in that pot hasn't been spent. But we will, don't worry, Councillor, spend it during the year.
I have another query. On beach safety, we seem to have spent a fair bit of money on beach safety, almost as much as the budget. We haven't done any
Yes.
safety work. What does that?
Sorry, Chair, I should have explained that too. The reason for that is that it's been our practice for several years to allocate a slice of the maintenance manager's salary to that account, and we haven't got round to recategorising it in the current circumstances. If you would want us to, I'm happy to arrange that in discussions with Alison.
That's sufficient explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lucas. Any other members? Okay, can I have a proposer that the finance report is accepted. Thank you. Councillor Milford, seconder. Councillor Lucas, thank you very much indeed, Clark. On to item number 5. Sorry?
Who was the proposer, Chair? Sorry, I was...
The proposer was Councillor Milford, seconded by Councillor Lucas.
Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome. Item number 5, COVID-19 affected services. Thank you. And this is one of the things that the Association Services Working Group have been working on recently, as well as other councils and officers, and mainly with regards to the risk assessments that Nikki Cox has done, which has resulted in the opening of the outdoor gymnasium, which is doing very well. I was really amazed. I've walked past it just about every day for the last 2 weeks, and since it's been opened, it has been absolutely chock-a-block, at least the times that I've been there. And I don't know whether it's coincidence or not, but in previous walks past it, I haven't noticed it being nearly as busy as it is now. Maybe it's because it's the weather. I just don't know. Of course, and the paddling pool is open and is looking absolutely terrific. And I think we ought to congratulate the staff responsible for the maintenance of the paddling pool and the painting of it. It really does. It's the best I've ever seen the paddling pool look. It really is very good. And again, walking past the paddling pool every day, it's really being used very well. Of course, as we thought would happen, there's absolutely no social distancing down there at all because nobody can keep children under control. They don't put them on leash like they do the dogs. So there we have it. But the main bone of contention, I think, is going to be the number 31 bus. Now, my personal view is that, notwithstanding listening to Helen's very persuasive argument earlier, I think it's something that the town council should be taking forward to consider whether we should, in fact, be looking at the provision of a community bus on a very serious basis. And maybe I'll be able to elaborate more on what I think about that just before the vote. But that's what I'm thinking, and I'm bringing a paper to the SWG next week for discussion on that before it comes to main council. Okay, that's enough from me. Let's go around the room, as it were, on this one, because it is very important. Councillor Bond.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I think my view is similar to the one that Jim expressed earlier, really. We've given it a good try. We've seen the figures decline significantly, and it's not going to be, it's certainly not going to be more popular as a result of the current situation.
Thank you, Councillor Bond. Councillor Milford.
Thank you, Chair. My view is I haven't really given it a full try yet. I think we agreed last time to give it one last chance, as it were, to see if it could operate on a slightly reduced capacity. So I'd like to see us honour that and see us get the bus one more go. And then if we do need to look at alternative provision, then perhaps we do. But I think we should give it one more chance.
Thank you, Councillor Milford. Although I would say, in response to that, we've since then had a further risk assessment and some answers that the clerk and maybe Nikki can go into that later. Councillor Cockett.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have a prepared statement because this is a big issue for us in St Lawrence. So the prepared statement will take a couple of minutes to read. It comes in 3 parts. First, regarding specifically addressing COVID-19, then the financial aspect, and then the social aspect. So I'll go ahead. Regarding COVID-19, until 4:30 today, there had been no new cases of COVID reported on the island for the last 2 weeks, and only 3 additional cases in the whole of July. However, today, 2 cases were sadly announced, bringing us to 5 cases in the last month. As far as I can see, the government can run as per the as far as I can see, the service can run as per the government guidelines with mitigation such as cleaning and face covering. The required risk assessment has been done. On balance, it's reasonable to say from a health and well-being perspective, there is a greater that there is a great possibility of harm from continued isolation of residents. Regarding the finances, I've always pursued a way that the bus could be less costly, and as such, I argued here that the service should be reduced to a few days of operation. Furthermore, grant money is expected to match fund the service. Additionally, I heard today that the government would extend its support of public transport indefinitely, although admittedly not in a position to state that if the untested estimation for an annual cost to the council, taking into account reduced service and grant money, is in the region of £3,000 per year, assuming no dramatic changes in passenger numbers either up or down. That is in contrast to over £10,000 that the council has spent for around 6 years. Given that the bus is potentially on the verge of being radically cheaper than it was before, it seems a very strange time to back away from its provision. As for an arbitrary metric by which we can judge the success of the service, I might suggest that 1% of the council's overall expenditure is a reasonable amount to support this element of Ventnor Town Council's portfolio. That 1% equals just under £4,500 per year. The social aspect of the bus, I have received numerous representations from people who are quite desperate to see the service running again. As is well known, that passengers are made up of people with poor mobility who have no other way of getting out and about. As I've mentioned here before, I am willing to let St Lawrence and Bonchurch to a fire that explicitly states use it or lose it to try and boost the passenger numbers. As ward councillor for St Lawrence, I feel the withdrawal of this service would equate to the withdrawal by the council from the ward as a whole. I have no objection to the council exploring options for a new service to start in the new year, but we know that's not a straightforward task, and I fear that if the service is halted now, it will never reappear. And finally, I would also like to note that the 2-day operation, as agreed in February, was agreed prior to the government funding becoming apparent, and thus I propose that the trial period as a 3-day operation. Thank you.
Sorry, I muted myself. It's unusual for me. Thank you very much, Councillor Crockett, for that. Moving along to Councillor Watling.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, and Stephen makes it very, very well indeed. It's a shame that we haven't got a proposal for an alternative community bus expense at this point. I know that's coming through. It would be so maybe with the halfway house, let's keep it going until we've got a better community bus proposal on the table. Is that one option?
Thank you, Councillor Watling. Although that would have to come forward as an amendment, which we can discuss that shortly. Councillor Toogood.
Well, as I said before, they've probably got, there's going to be less seats for people to sit on, isn't there? To decline even more, isn't it? Because what's the total amount of passengers he can take now? Is it 5? Do you know, David?
Well, Stephen probably knows that.
What did you say, Jim?
David, do you know how many how many passengers will the bus take with a new layout? I think it's hearing us.
It's being proposed that it could carry 8, and that's COVID safe, according to the government. So it's eight passengers.
How many seats have that got, Stephen?
I think it's a 16-seater, is it? That might be counting the 2 seats at the front as well, but I think it's a 16-seater.
So if you get 9 or 10 people, you turf them off, don't you? Sorry, wait for next one next week.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I think it should go anyway.
Thanks, Councillor. In response to that, the top mops have said the advice to observe social distancing at 2 metres wherever possible, it says. So it's not actually 2 metres per se. Councillor Logan.
No.
Yeah, I tend to be in favour of giving it and I'll try, albeit in the reduced capacity. Yes, I can see that working. I agree with Councillor Milford that we've already talked. We more or less said, look, we have to give it one more try. I think the social aspect is quite important here. We're having people in a situation where they're having to isolate, and we're keeping them isolated by not giving them the tool to come back into the town. So my take on it is, yes, I do see it as a problem, but I would be quite happy to give it one more try, maybe at the 3-day-a-week level. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Logan. Councillor Macaulay.
Thank you, Chair. The provision of a bus service, I like the sound of community bus service, is something I think we all think is a good idea. For many months now, we have all sort of in various forums discussed the viability or the operational satisfaction that we get from the 31 bus service. That's us as a provider. We've heard an impassioned plea from Helen earlier about what it means to at least one passenger, her mother. But I'm all for looking to try to provide a new and better service. But having said that, I agree with Councillor Watling and also got to Councillor Crockett's prepared statement that I think it would be not the right form for us to just suddenly take the service away without the provision of a new service or a plan at least for that to happen. So I would like to see a new service, but I agree with Councillor Crockett that we should maintain the service in the interim.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Macaulay. Councillor Lucas.
Yes, I'm very much in favour of carrying on the service as we promised. It's never going to be a raging success, is it? I mean, let's be honest. It's the social side which is the one which satisfies the formula. It's the social benefit to the people who use it. And so we aren't ever going to make a fortune on it, and we're never ever going to say that it's overcrowded. But in the current situation, it is such a community benefit that it warrants carrying on. And I very much agree with Councillor Macaulay that the earliest priority ought to be given to a better and more comprehensive service that we can really be proud of as a town council, rather than one we're making excuses for.
Thank you, Councillor Lucas. Okay, before we move to the vote, Nikki Cox, do you have anything you want to say with regard to the risk assessment aspect of this, particularly the 31 bus and the amount of people that they can take? There seems to be, I think from my reading of it, top mops say that 8 is the quota, but they say that the 2 metre distance should be wherever possible. Maybe you could clarify that for me.
You're absolutely right. Can you hear me, Stuart?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay.
It's everybody else, not just...
Yes. No, I have to be really careful here because I'm not making a decision about the bus. Okay. So I think top mops can do possibly 4 or 5 people. They can't do the disabled. They can't do the impaired. They can do those which are reasonably mobile. To be honest with you, at this present point in time, I would allow the bus to carry on. Okay, we do the best we can for the moment during COVID. And from a professional point of view, we go back to our original research. And if we are ethically orientated to provide a community bus service, then we look towards other options, electrical, our own bus, whatever. But at the moment, during COVID, I think we ought to make the best use of the bus as possible, but not its full capacity. Probably about a third of the capacity is probably correct. The biggest problem is not the amount of people getting on. It is in one situation, you could have somebody who is extremely infectious within the 14-day incubation period, and anybody else who's on that bus will end up ill. It's as simple as that. So the problem is not the bus running, it's how do you monitor somebody getting onto the bus who is potentially infectious?
Thank you, Nicky. Okay, everybody's had this, had their say, so we move to a decision. And the recommendation is a choice between either you can read this, I'll go through it so that we're absolutely clear for the minutes. Members are recommended to either thank Top Mops and its staff for the service provided by the Town Council in the operation of the 31, agree not to restart the service in its current form, explore options for a new community bus service for the Town Council so in the 2022 financial year. Now, depending on how councillors feel about that, there would be no need to move to the second point. So all those in favour, and I'll go around the table for this, all those in favour of that scenario, please say. Ian, Councillor Bond.
And that was what I was saying earlier, wasn't it? So I'm in favour. Yeah.
You're in favour of yeah, thank you. Councillor Milford.
I'm against and I would like to formally second Councillor Coppett's proposal.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Coppett, I think we know where you're going.
For the record.
Thank you, yeah. For the record. Councillor Watling.
I'm in favour.
Councillor Toogood. Councillor Toogood.
You're on mute, Jim.
Sorry, I'm in favour of what you're saying, Stuart.
No,
I'm on silence.
Sorry, the question is, Jim, whether you're in favour of the first three points, or do you want the bus service to stop, or do you want it to carry on for the 3-month period?
I want it to stop, but also look for something alternative, Stuart.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Logan.
Have you got that?
Yes, I would be against the first point. Point 3, I would be in favour of, but point 1 and 2, I'm against. So I'm formally against point 1.
You're formally against. Okay, Councillor Macaulay.
Likewise, against.
And Councillor Lucas.
I'm against the first option, in favour of the second option.
Thank you very much. So that is my vote had it been necessary, and it doesn't matter my vote's not even my vote would have been against. Therefore, formally, Clark, the recommendation 3, 1, 2, and 3 are adopted, and therefore there's no need to vote on option number 2.
Mayor, if I may, please. I would like to propose an amendment to option 2, though, and that's to make it clear.
Sorry, Councillor. The amendment should have come before the formal vote, and the amendment would have been taken first in that case. That'll have to come at another meeting, I'm afraid. Okay.
Stuart, I'm very confused about that.
So am I.
My record would.
Oh, sorry. No, okay. Well, let me just backtrack a minute, Clark. If a councillor proposes the second suggestion with an amendment, we can take it from there.
I thought you declared that the first recommendation set had been approved, but it hasn't, I don't think.
As I understand it, the first recommendation has fallen, and there was more against than for.
That's my understanding as well. But I didn't think that's what the chair said. So
no, it wasn't what the chair said. Sorry, I've confused myself, David, because one of our members had agreed to some of the first option, but not all of the first option. And it doesn't come with that option, if you forgive my obfuscation with the words. Sorry.
The first recommendation is obviously from me, not from the councillors, and it hasn't been proposed or seconded. It has been voted on. I've no objection to that. The vote would show that that recommendation was failed.
Has fallen,
by 5 votes to 4. My suggestion from what I heard would be that you add dotty 3 of the first recommendation to the alternative recommendation in order to carry forward that commitment, which seemed to be almost unanimous, that we should look for an alternative service in the future.
That's correct, Pat. But my point was that should have come forward as an amendment, which it wasn't until after the vote. So that was the caveat that I had. But I'm quite happy on your advice to revisit that.
So my view would be that, for the sake of good practice, someone, if there is anyone willing to, I'm sure there are, should propose the second of those two motions, or those two recommendations, and include dotty 3 from the first. If anybody is prepared to propose that, and there is a seconder, you could then put that to the vote.
Well, that was a long way around of coming to what we decided at the end. I think Councillor Milford suggested that earlier on. So the proposal now, councillors, is that we agree to implement. Sorry, we agree to implement the Town Council's decision in minute 620 to change with the additional 0.3 above.
Yes.
Proposal for that. Councillor Logan.
I'm sorry. I mean, if you wish to put your foot down, Chair, then that's perfectly fine. But if I may, the amendment I was going to suggest was that we should clarify that we're aiming for a 3-day-a-week service. There has been, as we've been discussing this over the months, there has been a certain amount of confusion about the level of service. And my proposal is that we should have a 3.
Right.
My understanding was that Councillor Cockett based the move from 2 to 3 days on an assumption about government additional funding. That, to my knowledge, hasn't been confirmed. And the budget provision at present is for the 2-day-a-week service that was agreed in January.
Yeah, that's my reading of it. And if the government does come forward with additional funding, then that's something we can take into account at the time. So the as amended was proposed by Councillor Logan. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Milford.
They proposed by Councillor Logan.
And for clarification on the funding, because presumably we haven't been paying for the service so far this year, but it's not provided. So surely we've made a bit of a saving. I think the proposal anyway is only to continue the trial period. If it is at 3 days a week, I think we're more or less in our budget, aren't we? Because we haven't been paid for service so far.
Councillor, I'm happy to check that, but my understanding is that the budget provision was made on the basis of the 6-month run, which was what the council agreed in January, with a review after 3 months to see if it was operating well or reasonably economically within the budget framework. So in that case, the saving hasn't yet happened, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, we could go down this route into semantics. We would carry on as Councillor Cockett says, by putting my foot down and saying that we'll vote on the wording as is here, with the provision that point 3 above is added to the bottom paragraph. That's been proposed by Councillor Logan. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Lucas? I take it there's nobody against. Thank you. Sorry, I apologise if I confused you there, Bart, but
no, it's fine, Chair.
we're clear where we're going from here on in. Thank you very much indeed. Support for vulnerable residents. If I could just preface this by saying, again, as I've reiterated before, the grateful thanks of us as the council towards the work of Tony McCarthy, Morgan Williams and Alison, and of course the clerk to a lesser degree, about the way that they have taken this on task forward with relish, got the support of the community behind them, and the support of businesses everywhere in Ventnor. And Ventnor has once again shone during this tragic epidemic by proving that once again the community gets behind its residents, and the town council has taken very good part in that. I was hoping that Jason would be able to speak to this, but if not, David, the clerk.
Thank you, Chair. Alison, Tony and I had a meeting this morning for lunchtime to discuss where we're up to with this. Number of requests, as the paper indicates, have reduced significantly. But number of volunteers has reduced even more significantly. But happily, those who are able to remain amongst the volunteers are extremely reliable, as Alison will confirm in a bit, perhaps. So we are still meeting the demand that's still there is being met well. We are having some confusion between the volunteer delivery service, as it were, and Boots. And Tony has agreed, following this morning's meeting, that he will arrange a meeting with the manager of Boots, who was on holiday last week, to discuss ways of clarifying that, because there is some indication that Boots are responding to requests that go directly to them by using the volunteers that Ventnor Town Council provides to make the actual delivery. And just need to clarify that. Tony's relationship with the manager of Boots has been extremely positive. So we, at this stage, no doubts that a satisfactory agreement on the way forward will be arrived at. Chair, would you just give Alison the opportunity to comment on that if she wants to add, because she's closer to that than I am.
Certainly, absolutely. Alison's been at the forefront. Can't hear you, Alison.
Stuart. Yeah, we've dropped down from two. Can you hear me now?
No, could you start again, Alison? Thank you.
Yeah, we've dropped down from 2 deliveries a day to 1, shared by 3 volunteers. So 6 days, still doing collections 6 days a week, Monday through to Saturday. Christine Larkham, John Idle and Lynn Pierce are sharing the deliveries 2 days a week, and the deliveries are going at 4:30 in the afternoon. It started last Monday and I've had some positive feedback. It seems to be working quite well, albeit that Boots are they're doing collections for from Boots for our requests, and also Boots as well. There's quite a few people out there still sort of self-isolating, shielding. There's still a requirement out there, but yeah, everything seems to be going well. The volunteers are in direct contact with each other, so again they can switch their days around, but it is working really well. Likewise, shopping requests are few and far between now, but we've got some regular volunteers that we can call upon for shopping. So like as David said, that the requests are much reduced, but things continue, and we've still got an amazing group of volunteers that give us support.
Thank you very much indeed, Ali. Absolutely correct. Any councillors like to have an input to this? No. Thank you very much, and once again, thanks, Alison, and to you, Morgan. I know we can't see you at the moment, but thank you very much for all the work that you've done. And there was some good news there, and there's some good news in the next item as well, which is the heads of terms for Ventnor Park, Clark.
Yes, Chair, with one qualification. Councillor Bond kindly emailed me last night to point out that the plan that the Isle of Wight Council has supplied apparently includes La Falaise car park, which may not be their intention, but
Good old Isle of Wight Council.
We will explore that.
I'm sure we'll have it if they insist on it staying inside the red line.
Well, as I said to you earlier, Chair, it's the same plan that they provided to us when we asked about the Ventnor War Memorial.
War Memorial, yeah, I remember it well. Yeah.
The plan then, which is exactly the same as the one we've got now. So interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll clarify that with Lee Matthews, obviously. So
okay. Okay, thank you. Members, anything to offer on this?
Can I comment about the outrageous charge of 450 for the legal costs of setting this thing up, when the whole reason that they're doing it is because they dumped it on us? Just final twist of the knife.
Don't need to be so subtle, Absolutely, but that's what 2 A4 sheets of paper for 450 quid. I think Councillor Lucas has hit the nail pretty much on the head there.
I suspect, Chair, it will be more than 4 pages this time. Councillor Toogood will remind us in a moment, as he has me already, that it will need to come with a schedule of conditions. And because in agreeing to taking on this asset, the Town Council will inherit very substantial responsibilities.
Yeah.
We will need to be very careful with the lease itself and the accompanying documentation. So we will need legal advice, I would advise, and I'm afraid that's their standard charge.
Yeah, sure, but our legal advisors are everybody as good as the council, I would suggest. Okay, thank you very much indeed, Clark. Moving to item 8, Southern Vectors bus routes. Nikki, you disappeared there. Are you back?
Sorry, Chair, you need to agree that if you're going
sorry, I need to agree that we accept the head of terms. Sorry, I do beg your pardon. Did I have a proposer? I was too keen to get Nikki involved. Councillor Crockett, seconder.
Thank you.
Seconder, Councillor Macaulay. Thank you very much.
I'll second that, Chair.
No, you just jumped the gun again, Jim. Sorry, Councillor Macaulay was there before you, and nobody against. Thank you. Okay, Clark. Sorry, there's a dog shouting outside my window now.
Okay.
Southern Vectors bus routes. Nikki, could you talk to us about this, please?
Yes, okay. Morgan, can you give me the screen, please?
I'll switch my microphone off. Sorry, that's a nuisance.
Okay, let's have a look. Right, people, can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about Ventnor bus routes, specifically number 3 from Newport to Ryde and Ryde to Newport, both routes via Ventnor. This is just not my work. This is also Stephen's as well. So, number 3, Ryde to Newport. Newport to Ryde, sorry. So normally the bus route comes in, it goes down Spring Hill, and there's a bus stop at the very top of Spring Hill Gardens, which is quite useful actually. And then it drops down to, can you see the pointer, by the way?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right. Then it drops down to the corner, opposite Perks's, and then up to the main bus area there. And then scoots along down Victoria to the surgery, which is there, and normally up to Boots, picks people up, and then whizzes off to Ryde. No problems there. Very efficient bus route. Picks up most people in the town, and that's fine. When you start coming in from Ryde, on the other hand, so you're coming in from over here. Hang on, where's my pointer? You're coming in from here, from the high street. The Ryde bus itself goes down to the surgery. There's the bus stop there, buzzes along, and up to the Boots one. Now, the Boots one has been moved within almost a day. Excuse me, there's somebody outside. Almost a day, they managed to vacate the bus stop there. And they decided, dog, pet. Sorry, dog's chasing food. Managed to, all right, baby, all right. Managed to channel everybody up towards this area here, which is the Crab and Lobsters up here. This is a very lonely bus stop up here. It literally sits on two people's driveways. And usually you have one or two people. I used the bus that way for nearly 7 years, coming in from Freshwater and Newport to Ventnor, and also from Lake to Ventnor. So I'm fairly au fait with this. But unfortunately now you're getting a congregation of people up here. The people themselves have actually, coincidentally, when they heard about COVID, also raised the point of that in previous times, people were using the bus stop and dropping garbage and generally creating a commotion on that area. So the option number one is to carry on with this. So the Ryde bus comes through along here, along Albert Street. That's not now in existence. So we cruise on. I did have a chat with Stephen about and Combe about the possibility of putting a temporary bus stop in the high street here, or even potentially putting one close to the museum. The trouble is the gradients are too heavy, and this would also, and the one in the high street would interfere with loading of the flower shop and 5 a day. Option two would be to come in and do the normal route. And actually cancel this bus stop up here and actually pick up everybody again from the main central car park bus stop. But then the bus would have to actually go round the town again, all the way round, and then up Spring Hill, not stopping at this bus stop, and then up Spring Hill and off to Newport. So we have a slight problem in this configuration here. So let's see if I can get this up. I haven't got the full screen, unfortunately, so I'm going to just see if oh yeah, I've got it now. Okay. So the possibility is, so we're talking about Ryde. So we come down from Ryde and we come the normal way, which is down Leeson Road, past Boniface Fields. There's a bus stop outside Holy Trinity, that's fine. And you move down towards the town, there's a bus stop opposite the Legion, and you're coming down here, and then you hit Victoria Street, everything is fine. You hit the surgery, everything is fine. This one here doesn't exist anymore.
It does. I was on the bus today and it's picking up at Boots again.
This one here formerly did not exist anymore. Okay, and
they're picking up today. They were picking up there today.
Well, I walked past yesterday and they still had the yellow signs up. We're talking about an alternative route here, not what they're actually doing at the moment. So the possibility is to actually come down St. Albert Street, and instead of the bus stop being outside Spring Hill, which is annoying the residents there, is to move that bus stop up to St. Boniface Road. So therefore, coming in from Ryde, go round up to the central car park, then up to the Legion, then back up to Trinity, and then into Boniface Fields. And the corner is not too sharp because the bus used it at any rate. Along Boniface Fields and then out to Newport. I didn't realise that they had released the bus stop today. This is okay. So this is the alternate route, and actually, for the future, this alternate route would be more efficient for Ventnor. This alternate route would be more efficient for Ventnor and also service the upper end of the high street for residents there, and to actually Boniface Road. This would prevent a situation where buses go up Spring Hill, and also at certain points in time, buses are coming down the other way. So you end up with a collision of buses, which have to wait, and a congestion of traffic. And this also would remove the bus stop outside, which is not really a formal bus stop as such. It hasn't got shelter there. You should try it in the winter when it's really cold. It's a bit dismal and bleak. But it would remove the annoyance from the residents. So this was the proposal, and Steve and I had a chat about it, and we seem to be in agreement this was the most efficient, best route for Ventnor in the future. Basically, that's as simple as that, really. Even if Boots is open again, this route is still more efficient for local residents and would take the problem away from the Spring Hill. It's not a very good bus stop up on, sorry, this one here, down here. So if they add in Boots as well, then we get double our money, basically. So we're coming down again from Ryde, along here, Surgery, Boots, main bus stop, Legion, Trinity again, Boniface Road, bus stop, out to Newport. And it's as simple as that, really.
Thank you, Nicky. From my personal point of view, I think this is a no-brainer. I just can't understand why Southern Baptists never came up with this plan themselves. Because it would seem to me, I can remember, I've lived in Ventnor nearly 38 years, and I can remember when the buses used that route in any case. Nicky, others around here might not do. When my children were at St Boniface School, and the school kids were dropped opposite the school, there was a bus stop almost at the top of St Boniface steps for that very purpose. So that is my opinion, and as I say, I think it's a no-brainer. Members,
can you take me off, Morgan, please? Thank you.
Councillor Crockett, as your name was taken in vain there, would you like to come in?
Yes, it was a couple of times. To be clear, I didn't actually work on this with Nicky, but I arrived at the same conclusions independently from Nicky when I was looking at town centre improvements. I did hear today from a couple of people that Boots has been brought back into action. I would concur that there's no harm at all in forwarding this to Southern Vectis, because I do believe it is a better route, with or without the Boots stop. And if they don't want to do it, it will be interesting to hear what their rationale is. And if they do want to do it, all to the good.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
I think Nicky's alternative works well, so try to adopt anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jim. I think you're absolutely correct. Anybody else? Okay, then. So the recommendation is that we support the alternative routing of the number 3 as outlined by Nicky Cox there, and authorise the clerk and Nicky to progress the option with officers from the Isle of Wight Council and Southern Vectis. Could I have a proposer? Councillor Bucket, Councillor Jeff. Thank you. A seconder, please.
I'll second that, please.
Councillor Lucas.
You beat me again.
Yeah, sorry, you have to be quick.
A loser tonight.
Yeah.
And I am, yeah.
I take it once again that nobody's against. Thank you very much, colleagues. Which takes us to number 9, the proposed oil consultation. I asked for this to be put on the agenda after receiving an email from Mrs. Sylvia May of the Don't Build the Isle of Wight campaign, and she has written to all the other Island Town and Parish councils. It's just that I don't think Ventnor Town Council as a body has taken a view in this, and this would be the chance to rectify this one way or the other. The correspondence has been attached to the report. The park was very kindly forwarded to members, and then members are recommended to consider a response to the consultation. I am absolutely with Mrs. May in this. I think there is absolutely no reason, considering the history of the Isle of Wight and all the times we've tried to turn it into an eco island or a green island. I think this flies in the face of everything that tried to achieve in the past, and I don't think that we should be in any way condoning drilling for oil or fracking or whatever you'd like to call it on the Isle of Wight. In fact, in the national news today and yesterday, there were instances of rivers being contaminated by overflows from drilling points elsewhere in the country. That's just my personal view. So do any members have a view they would like to speak for or against this?
I've got a view, Stuart.
Councillor Watling.
So I'm all in favour of everything as green as you can get it. I really am, and I hope the stuff I've said previously and my voting record shows that. I'm in favour of green cars. I'm in favour of green electricity. I'm in favour of green everything. There are some things you can't get away from using oil for. You can run your car on electricity, and that's fine. You can heat your home with electricity, and that's fine too. You cannot make plastic, which we need, out of anything except oil, and you can't make aviation fuel out of anything except oil. So if you want to get on an aeroplane and go anywhere, you need oil. If you don't get it from Araton, you've got to get it from somewhere else. And if most of the places we get it from have absolutely hideous human rights records, environmental records, the list goes on, you know. So if we don't get it from nice places like Araton, we've got to get it from horrible places instead. So for that reason, I'm in favour of getting our oil from nice places rather than horrible places. That's all I had to say.
Thank you, Councillor Watling. I'm not quite sure that I would follow that logic, but that's not for me to say at the moment. Anybody else like to speak to this?
Yeah, I agree with Colin. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a case of not in our backyard, and I think we should let it go through. I think we should encourage it.
Thank you, Councillor Chugood. Councillor Pocket.
I did write an objection to this planning application. I won't bore you with the whole 1,000 words, but just something which I think is of interest. I use the Isle of Wight Council's own 2017 corporate plan as the basis of my objection. And there's some bullet points which are on the front page of that, and they are to create opportunities for all, deliver economic growth and prosperity, preserve our environment, protect our community, plan for future needs, and to provide sound financial management. And this application doesn't meet any of those bullet points in any way, shape or form. So my objection may not have been a material one. Obviously, material objections, planning applications have to be very precise, but it's simply not in keeping with the Isle of Wight Council's objectives, and further to that, it's not in keeping with the islands. So I'm opposed to this application.
Thanks very much, Councillor Pocket. Councillor Milford.
Thank you, Chair. I'm opposed to all drilling and fracking on the island. Don't think we should do it at all. I think we should do our bit for energy production. I think we should look, obviously, wind and tidal energy wherever we can and pilot those on the island. But I don't think we should support any drilling.
Thank you very much. Mr. Logan.
Yeah, I would go very much along with Councillor Milford. They could be accused of not in my backyard, but I would say the opposition is across the board. As far as I'm concerned, it is a dangerous way to extract fuel. Period. Whether it's in a nice place or it's in a horrible place, it is dangerous. So I would support this council objecting to this in the strongest terms.
Thank you, Councillor Logan. Councillor McCauley, do you have a view?
No.
You brought up a view?
No, I don't have a view.
So Lucas?
I'm against any drilling. We are a UNESCO biosphere on the island, and it just cuts against all green issues. And I think it's an ideal time to say, yes, NIMBY, I want to be NIMBY for our island, because there are other places which are far more suitable for drilling, whether they be horrible countries or otherwise, than on our island, which is a tourist island, which has got big credentials for its green attitudes and reputation.
Thank you very much. I haven't missed any. Councillor Bond.
Yeah, I would be the same as Councillor Logan and Councillor Lucas. I'd be concerned about the differences in geology between Britain and America, which I don't think have been researched enough. Interestingly, the reason they're so keen on it in America is that in America you actually own the mineral rights under your own house, whereas in Britain you don't. This is an interesting financial difference, which explains why Americans are so keen to have it drilled under their house. But I don't think the safety issues have been dealt with adequately in Britain as yet.
That's a good point. Cheap gasoline, the Americans love it very much. We don't have a form of wording part here, but my suggestion would be that Ventnor Town Council, as a motion, the Ventnor Town Council opposes drilling for oil or fracking in any form on the Isle of Wight. Do you have any dispute with that wording?
No, and I mean, there's an interesting point, just following on from what I said earlier about Ventnor. Given there's been many earthquakes in I think the only tried area up in the northwest, given Ventnor's risks and stability, I think there may be a particular issue for us here. In that many earthquakes on the island are not going to do Ventnor any favours.
No. Thank you, Councillor Bond. Well, I'm asking the clerk's advice here on the wording, David.
Oh, the wording seems to me to be right on the correct interpretation of what's been said. Then the Town Council opposes all fracking and drilling on the island, is what you said, Chair. You happy
Thank you very much, Clark. Well, that is my proposal. Can I have a second, please? Councillor Milford. Do you want this recorded as an individual vote, as there were some dissenting voices? Councillor Bond.
We'll go in favour.
Councillor Milford.
In favour of the motion, yeah.
Councillor Crockett.
In favour.
Councillor Watling.
Not in favour, thank you.
Councillor Toogood. Councillor Toogood, you're muted.
You're muted, Jim.
Sorry, my fan's blowing away. Yeah, I'm in favour of them going ahead with it, personally.
Okay, thank you. So you're against the motion. Thank you, Councillor Toogood.
I'm in
Councillor
favour,
Logan.
Chair.
Oh, you're against it. Sorry, then. Councillor Logan.
In favour.
Councillor Macaulay.
I abstain, Jim.
Abstain. Thank you. Councillor Lucas.
I'm in favour, but I would add that it doesn't go well with the Isle of Wight Council's reputation for supporting renewables. You know, they give it a hard time when everybody wants to put a wind farm up. So it's an anomaly, really.
Yeah, well, you're attending an open wound with me there, Councillor Lucas. And it seems even our MP hasn't made up his mind yet. 1 week he's for it, the next week's against it. So that is the wording, Clark. If you would formally place the council's views on the consultation website. And thank you very much indeed to Mrs. May for bringing that to the council's attention. Okay, let's move on now to town trail boards. Town trail boards.
Yes, Chair, I don't know if you need anything from me. It's all in the paper. As you, I'm sure, know, the town trail boards were set up in 2017, operated, well, funded through the Ventnor and Undercliff Heritage Partnership, and they have looked after it since then, and the town council contributed to providing costs, to meeting the cost of the leaflets which go with the trail, to provide a guide to visitors and residents through the trail itself, which consists of 9 information boards. Very well done as well. My previous experience were the ones done in Brading, and these are at least of that quality. The Ventnor and Undercliff Heritage Partnership is now being wound up, and the Heritage Museum have offered to take it on and are looking to the town council to see if the support for the leaflets can be continued, and an additional contribution of £200 towards essential maintenance. Both amounts would be included, if you agree, in the next year's budget. They're not looking for any contribution from this year's budget. What they are looking for, as you'll see from Lee Geddes' email attached to the report, is assurance that there will be that support down the line. Chair.
Thank you very much indeed, Clark. Members.
Yeah, if I can come in here, please, Chair. I actually put all those boards up and I work very closely with them. And we are getting a bit of damage on the corners. Lovely children are peeling the corners back. So we tried to repair one, but it doesn't look very good. Like one on the seafront here, and I think we're going to have a bit of damage over a period of the years with them. So we need some money. They do need money for maintenance. And you can't maintain these boards. When someone peels the corners back, you actually got to replace the boards. They don't stick that well. Corners don't.
Oh. Thank you, Councillor.
That's me.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come in?
I don't want to be too pedantic, but how can we, in this council, agree to something which will be in next year? I don't quite understand how we can do that, because we're committing ourselves to another period.
Because, Chair, this council will set the budget for 21-22 before it expires.
Right. So it's within our power to do that rather than outside.
Yeah, the budget will be set before May 2021, so this council will be responsible for setting the budget for 2021-22. Thank you. Is that okay, Brian? Sorry?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the proposal is, just let me get it in front of me, so that we can be quite clear. Yeah. The recommendation is that members are recommended to commit to including the £700 in its 21-22 budget to pay to Better Heritage as a contribution, and that it is noted that that has no effect on this year's budget. Could I have a proposal for that, please, as it's a financial matter?
We're happy to propose.
Thank you, Councillor Bond. Seconder? Seconder, Councillor Lucas. And I take it there's nobody against that, unless you'd like to speak now. Okay, Clark, thank you. That's carried.
Thank you.
Standing orders. Clark, could you introduce this?
Yes, Chair. I think, again, the paper says it all. I hope that for the record, the fact that our existing standing orders, to put it mildly, are out of date, has been highlighted in recent discussions about tendering processes. When I say out of date, the standing orders we currently have were agreed by the Town Council in 2011 and haven't been updated since, for which I apologise. I've been doing other things most of the time. But clearly, given the issues around that those standing orders don't take account of the latest regulations, the 2015 regulations about tendering process, it seemed time to update them. So I provided my suggested replacement, which follows the NALC model, and not slavishly, but it is based on the NALC model, and it includes the impact of the 2015 regulations in relation to tendering processes. So I've circulated them as the basis for discussion, amendment, and/or approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. So I think, again, we'll go around the table with this one, starting with Councillor Bond.
Yeah, I was happy with the changes that are proposed. The procedural bits in relation to the council's business of standing orders seem quite convoluted. I'm not sure it fully reflects the way that we're doing things, but that's probably a debate for another day. But the actual changes, particularly in relation to procurement, make a lot of sense.
Thank you, Councillor Bond. Councillor Milford?
Yeah, they kind of all make sense to me. I'm happy to support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Milford. Councillor Lucas?
Yes, I support them as well.
Thank you. Councillor Cockett?
Yes, clearly the council should be using the updated version, so I'm very happy to support this.
I just noticed, Councillor Cockett, that your name appears twice in front of me in the screen, but that doesn't give you 2 votes, I don't think, does it? So, one's got your lovely picture on it, the other one is blank. Councillor Macaulay?
I'm just checking, I'm plugged in. Yeah, I'm not sure I follow it all, but I'd just like to ask: is this the be all and end all of a discussion on procurement? Because we didn't really seem to have had that yet, or have I missed it? I mean, is this the equivalent of a new procurement policy? Maybe the clerk can enlighten me.
Sure, I'm sure he can.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's not the end of the discussion at all. It's simply laying the formal basis, which is what standing orders do, as you know. The council is free to develop within that framework any format, any particular requirements it wants to put in place for its procurement process. So that discussion hasn't reached a conclusion yet. It has started amongst some members. My keenness was, because I get judged on standing orders by auditors and others, was to make sure that in respect of that important aspect, standing orders were in line with the NALC recommendations, and I haven't altered any of their recommendations in that area of the standing orders. But certainly I'm very happy to assist councillors in having a related policy document.
Thank you, Clark. That's a great help. And that said, I'll support it and believe in its veracity and accuracy.
Thank you very much, Councillor McCauley. Councillor Logan?
Yes, I'm in favour.
Thank you. Councillor Toogood?
Yes, I'm in favour as well.
Thank you.
I
Councillor
support
Watling? Sorry, Jim, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I thought you finished. Councillor Watling?
Well, predictably enough, I'm not in favour. I appreciate the clerk's comments that we can have a separate discussion and we can change these at any point in time. But once these are signed off, these will be the standing orders to which I referred. We did this and it was in accordance with the standing orders. So whatever you sign off is what we do. And there's a lot of stuff in there that I'd rather we didn't as an organisation do. Now, I do apologise that this isn't as obvious and it's not as straightforward as buses or fracking or things like that. But I would appreciate if you just bear with me. I'll keep it to 2 minutes as to why I think these need a bit of work before we actually actually sign them off. Is that okay, Chair?
Yeah, carry on.
Okay. So the first thing that the standing orders say at the moment, as they're currently written, is that we don't get quotes for anything under £25,000. We don't get 3 quotes. We just get 1. Now that doesn't strike me as the way of getting best value for money for the taxpayer. You'd normally go out and get quotes for multiple quotes, things under 25 grand. The other thing it doesn't talk about is the Social Value Act. Now the Isle of Wight Council invokes the Social Value Act on all tenders over 25,000. I think that's a very good idea. Could I have the screen for a second, please? Would that be all right?
Morgan? Yeah. Yes, that's fine.
Okay. There we go. So let's find that. So can everybody see that Crown Procurement Policy Procedure Note? Procurement Policy Note, yeah? Everyone see that?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can't see the full page. I can see. Yeah. Oh, you're scrolling. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Struggling to stick to my 2 minutes, but here we go. Where are we now? This is about how you choose your procurement methodology. It talks about a procurement decision-making tree, which talks about government procurement should normally use the open procedure, except where a bunch of things apply. Now, our current procurement regulations in our standing orders that are proposed allow us to have ad hoc lists. The public procurement rules, again, if I can just put the screen properly, suggest that, where are we now? All right, I'm trying to find the right button on my computer here. Sorry, guys. Here we go. It is, oh, that's in the wrong way. Look at that. This tab here. There we go. Public Procurement Regulations 2015. Paragraph 2, paragraph 18, section 2, design of a procurement shall not be made with the intention of excluding it. That for that purpose, competition shall consider to be artificially narrowed where the design of a procurement is made with the intention of unduly favouring or disadvantaging certain economic operators. The first bit was what I meant to read. Economic operators equally and without discrimination and act in a transparent and proportionate manner. What that's all taking you towards is, and it says here absolutely clearly in NALC's legal notes 87 there, is that everything over 25,000, everything uses the contract finder website. It means you cannot have ad hoc lists. You can have framework agreements, but people to get into a framework agreement have to pass some sort of procedure. You're supposed to use the contract finder website for everything and advertise. Again, our standing orders as proposed don't say that. So in summary, our standing orders as proposed don't reflect good procurement procedure, and it's very boring, and I apologise for boring everyone's ears off with it. Okay, that's all I had to say on that.
Thanks, Councillor. So in essence, can I just summarise what you're saying there, that you think there should be a paragraph or something of that order that covers the £25,000 or less provision in now framework?
I think we need to address what we do with tenders under 25,000.
Yeah.
I think we need to address the Social Value Act, and I think we need to remove the ad hoc list, because that just doesn't feature in modern government procurement.
Right, thank you very much. Does anybody have anything to, on the basis of what Councillor Watling has said, anything to add? No? No?
If I may,
okay. Pardon? Sorry, yeah, Councillor Pocket, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for what Councillor Watling has brought up, and personally, I would like to give it more consideration now. I think it's important, and I don't feel sufficiently prepared to be able to make a judgment on the matter at this time, considering the information that's just been introduced to the meeting.
So your proposal is what?
My position as it stands is that I would not have any choice other than to abstain from this.
So you don't have a proposal as such, Councillor Corbett?
No.
If I could just come in, I mean, Colin
Yeah,
makes some very, thank you, Chair, and some very valid points. The problem we have is this is not the sort of topic that you can really deal with very effectively over a virtual conference, virtual meeting like this. It's the sort of thing where you need to sit around the table and go through it in detail, I would have thought. I don't know whether there's any indication as to when we can resume actually meeting physically. Many other activities, including schools, are going to be resuming soon. So I would have thought the argument for us staying in virtual meetings for much longer is quite weak now. When we resume meeting around the table, then either the council or the working group of the council ought to sit down and have a look at this and any other issues arising from the standing orders. And I would have thought giving it a bit more time in the light of what Stephen and Colin have said would be well worth doing, and waiting till we can actually meet in person.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very valid point, Councillor Bond, although I might argue with you about the validity to get rid of virtual meetings very quickly. I quite enjoy them, actually. But, so it seems to me, on the basis of what Councillor Watling has said and what others, including Councillor Colley and Councillor said, that we could, and I don't know whether this is crucial or not, I'll be guided by you in this, whether we can defer this until, say, the September meeting.
Obviously,
but I think we do have to make a decision sooner rather than later. Sorry, David.
Oh, I'm in no hurry.
Yeah,
it was not suspended at all.
So in that case, I'll invite Councillor Watling to propose that we defer this until a future date to be decided.
Happy to so propose.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder for that? Councillor Macaulay. Anybody against that? Sorry, Jamie, did you?
I wanted to say something.
I was taking the vote, Councillor Macaulay, so it's...
I know. Apologies, Chairman.
Thank you. So I think that, Clark, if I might suggest that we have some informal discussions along the lines of what Councillor Bond has said and decide at a future date when we bring this back to the full council.
Cool.
Thank you. And with that, to the clerk's report.
Sure.
Sorry, Jamie.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just rounding off that last one, it would certainly help me if Colin could see his way to perhaps giving us a note on. I mean, he took us through that stuff pretty quickly there. I mean, if he wouldn't mind, it would benefit me if there's just a few notes on what it is he's actually trying to explain to us.
Okay.
I thought I'm prepared to research it myself and do some work, but it just sort of pointed in the right direction.
Sure, Councillor McCall. I'm sure Councillor Warner will have no objections to that at all.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, it's very, very dull, so read it just before you go to bed.
I'll read it better still when you're asleep. Okay, clerk's report.
Thank you, Chair. Usual collection of bits and pieces. First paragraph, we as a staff team have discussed working from home, and we are unanimous in preferring to continue that arrangement on the grounds that it doesn't affect council business, given the arrangements we have for cooperation and collaboration, which seem to all of us to be working very well. As you'll see, we have agreed to revisit that at the end of August when we'll see where we are. I obviously have a vested interest in that, which I should declare, given that I'm in the clinically vulnerable age group. County Councillors meeting, Stuart and I met with Councillor Gary Peace. And certainly, I mean, I found it a really positive meeting. Stuart, do you want to add anything to that, to comment about that?
Yeah, thank you, Clark. Yeah, I did, especially in view of the fact that Councillor Peace and I had a little, shall we say, back and forth at the last council meeting that he attended virtually and was involved in. So we cleared the air over that. But it struck me that Councillor Peace is on the same page as Ventnor Town Council when it comes to promoting Ventnor and trying to put forward our views to the full council, which I think is advantageous. Whether that will come out in the as we go forward, we'll wait and see. But I really do think that he is honestly trying to promote us at council level, and he thinks that when it comes to some projects that we're actually pushing at an open door. Although we've had this discussion in the past around this virtual table that we wonder what the council are doing. But I think, to be fair to Gary, he is with us on a lot of these things, and I entirely agree with what the clerk's saying. Sorry, David.
No, thank you. I found it really encouraging too, but as you say, we'll see what he's able to achieve in the circles he moves in. For the record, I should repeat the fact that Councillor Graham Perks didn't respond to the email requesting that he join the meeting. Additional funding from Natural England, £1,000 for the Danville Fritillary Butterfly area on the Bonchurch revetment, and £2,880 from the Violence Reduction Fund that Tony McCarthy has successfully applied for. The business rates on public toilets, some of you will have noticed the passage of the relevant legislation through Parliament, and it's predicted by the British Toilet Association, who should know about these things, to be signed off finally by Parliament in September, with a backdating to the 1st of April 2020, which should give us an underspend for Councillor Lucas's attention of £7,000 over the year. Shore Road car park hire, we've agreed to hire that 2/3 of Shore Road car park for a date in August. I've not made that public simply because I don't think the company concerned will be grateful for the interest that might arise. The fee that they've agreed is £500 for the day. Their standard location fee, as I understand it. Bob Seeley's meeting, I've attended 2 of those now. They are useful. He coordinates them very well and answers questions very clearly, and apparently does follow up on them too. So they have a use for those who want to ask questions at it, which I haven't felt the need to just yet because of, well, the fact is that our main concern is the Isle of Wight Council in relation to the work that I'm responsible for. The clerk's column, I don't quite know how I stumbled into this weekly commitment, but it seems to have been welcomed, and Alison's marketing of it is producing additional numbers every week to add to the list. So we've now reached 490 from a standing base of 300. So that it does seem to be being read. I get some feedback, not as much as I'd like, but certainly some. And as you know, it also appears in the South Wight Chronicle, with thanks to Andy Porter. And finally, the dates of the working groups for the record. Thank you, Chair. That's me done.
Thank you very much indeed, Clark. If I could just say, and I don't, you correct me if I'm wrong, Gary Peace, Councillor Peace, has agreed to meet the clerk and me as mayor on a monthly basis going forward. Of course, that invitation is extended to Councillor perhaps if he's listening to this, which I doubt. But anyway, it's out there in the public domain in any case. So if he wants to come along, he only has to get in touch with the clerk and at least acknowledge the invitation, even if he wants to tell us he doesn't want anything to do with us anymore. But that's the facts of the matter. So, councillors, what I'm saying is, if any of you have anything that you'd like to be brought to the Isle of Wight Council for Ventnor East's attention at the cabinet table or in full council, then please either speak to David and I, or we'll ensure that it's brought up in our future meetings. Thank you for that, and thank you all for attending tonight. Thank you very much indeed, and have a safe and very